Yes, hello, hi everyone. Today we are going to discuss your question paper FT5. Okay. So the first question we have, choanocytes are also known as. If you remember your chapter Animal Kingdom, so choanocytes are present in which phylum? Choanocytes, they are the special cells which is present in phylum Porifera, and the choanocyte cells are also known as the collar cells. These are flagellated cells which is responsible for the reproduction and also responsible for creating a water current. Okay, so the choanocyte cells are also known as the collar cells. Very important because it was also your PYQ. Next question we have, which of the following phylum shows polymorphism? Polymorphism means what phylums have a metagenesis process. We have some sort of phylums, those organisms who leave their half-life as a polyp and who leave their half-life as a medusa. They have an alternation of generation, and this property belongs to the Cilian strata. Okay. Next we have the notochord is formed on which sides of the body during the embryonic development. Firstly, notochord is what? Notochord is a rod-like structure which supports the body system, and in some organisms, notochord is replaced into vertebral column. Those organisms who have notochord, they are known as the chordates. Okay. So, notochord is present at which side? It is present at the dorsal side of the body. Okay, very simple. Next, we have a decrease in blood pressure volume will not cause the release of ANA factor, which is your atrial natriuretic factor, because they are asking decrease in blood pressure, and atrial natriuretic factor, it releases when somebody have high blood pressure. The next we have Hydra. Hydra belongs to the phylum Coelenterata, and it is a freshwater polyp. Okay, and Hydra, where it is found, Hydra is a freshwater form, radially symmetrical, and they have diploblastic. Why so? They have two germ layer because belongs to the phylum Coelenterata. The next we have the junction that help to stop substances from leaking is. Cells have different type of junction to exchange the materials, to exchange the nutrients, and these junctions are your, for example, gap junction, which allow the exchange of substance, which allow the movement. And next we have some tight junction which stops or which prevents the allowance and all. So the junction, they help to stop substances from leaking is tight junction. Next we have endothelium lining of blood vessel is formed by the simple squamous epithelium. When simple squamous epithelium is present in your blood vessels, it is known as the endothelium. The next we have stratified non-keratinized squamous epithelium covers. What is stratified? Those who have more than one layer. Okay, and it covers the moist surfaces. Goblet cells are found in. Goblet cells, these are the cells which secretes the mucus, and mucus you have where? You have in your stomach, because stomach contains the HCl. No? So the stomach is the answer. The next we have goblet cells are unicellular glands. Okay. Pancreas is a compound gland. Very simple. The assertion and reason is true because goblet is a unicellular gland which secretes the mucus, but pancreas is a composite gland, or you can say that heterocline gland. Why? Because it acts as an exocrine and it is also act as an endocrine. Okay, so assertion and reason both are your true, but reason is not this satisfactory to the assertion. Okay, so the correct option is your D. Which of the followings are your drugs? Very simple, are vinblastine and the curcumin. Vinblastine drugs are used to treat cancer patients, and curcumin, turmeric, it have an anti-inflammatory properties. Okay, the next we have the cry second AB and cry first AB produce toxin to control. It produce to control the cotton bollworm and the corn borer respectively. Okay, this is the question which comes directly from your NCERT. Answer C. The next we have the graph given below is showing the concept of activation energy. Identify A and B in the options. See, this is the energy. This is the, what is the function of enzymes? Enzymes lowers the barrier. Enzymes lowers the barrier of activation of energy. So this is the energy required without enzymes. And you see here the B1. This is the energy is required when it is happen in the presence of enzyme. Okay. So the correct option is you have to identify A and B. So this is the activation energy without an enzyme, and this is the activation energy with enzyme. The next we have the intercalating agent that sticks between base pair of DNA and help in visualizing them under the UV light is ethidium bromide. Yes or no? The next we have, at which stage of HIV infection does one usually show the symptoms of AIDS? What is AIDS? AIDS is a sexually transmitted disease. The full form of AIDS is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, and it is spread through the sexual contamination and through infected blood, through infected needles and all. Okay. The first case of AIDS is seen in USA in 1981 in homosexual couples. The next, when somebody have a HIV virus infection, so this virus attacks on the T cells. Okay, majorly the T cells is affected in this disease, and T cells are responsible for providing the immunity. That's why there's a time lag period between HIV to the AIDS. So when we call them, the patient have actually AIDS when the count cells of the T lymphocytes is less than 200. Okay. So the answer is when HIV replicates rapidly in T lymphocytes and damage their large number of these. Okay. Next is your diffusion membrane. Diffusion membrane, it is the membrane which allow the exchange of gases and their thickness is less than 0.1 micrometer. Okay. And the diffusion membrane is made up by the thin squamous epithelium of alveoli and the basement membrane and also the endothelium that we have in the capillaries. The correct option is D. Factors that affect the rate of diffusion. Solubility of gases, very obvious, because if some gases have less solubility in lipids, so it takes time. Okay. Next, the partial pressure of gases, because gases moves from high pressure to the low pressure. If somebody have a low pressure inside it, so how the gases are going to be exchanged. The next is thickness of membrane. More the thickness, there will be a difficulty in exchange of the gases. So these all are the options are correct with regarding to the factors. The correct option is your D. Next is for conversion of prothrombin into thrombin, which of the following is required? The enzyme which required is thrombokinase. Next is what is atrial systole? The atrial systole means the contraction in atrium, and it increases the flow of blood into ventricles by how much? By the 30%. The next question we have, all the followings are excreted through sebum except. Sebum is what? Sebum is produced by the, sebum is a waste which is produced by the oil gland. It contains sterols, it contains hydrocarbons, waxes, but it don't contain your NaCl because it is excreted throughout the, what? It is excreted throughout the sweat. Next is the contraction of which of the following muscle result in the release of urine out from the urinary bladder. Urinary bladder is known as the muscular structure because it contains a lot of muscle. There is a one muscle which is responsible for the contraction. When this muscle is contracted, urinary bladder also contract and the urine will be come out. And the name of this muscle is detrusor muscle. Very easy. Next is anaerobic work becomes painful due to the accumulations of lactic acid. You know that two type of respiration take place in body. The one is aerobic and the another is anaerobic. Aerobic respiration take place in the presence of oxygen. When food is oxidized in the presence of oxygen, The end product is your water and CO2. Okay. The next, if the same reaction is happen in the absence of oxygen, means CO2 is involved here for the oxidation of food, the end product will be lactic acid, water and the CO2. But this lactic acid got accumulated in the body, that's why we feel cramps after doing any heavy exercise. Okay. The correct option is your C. The contractile unit of muscle in a part of myofibril between your Z line and Z line. Okay. If you remember the class, you remember now, there's a some proteinaceous line which only bisect the thin filament. Suppose this is the thin filament and this is your thick filament. Okay. This is your thin, this is your again thick. There are some proteinaceous lines which only bisect the thin filament, that is your Z line. Similarly here. Okay. So the distance between the two Z line, it is also known as the sarcomere. Okay. Sarcomere is the structural and functional unit of your skeletal muscles. The next we have somatic neural system relay impulses from the central nervous system to the skeletal muscles. See, which of the following is not under control of human parasympathetic nervous system? There are two type of system in ANS, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, and they both work antagonistic in nature, means they both work opposite to each other. Okay. So the constriction of pupil is caused by the caused by the parasympathetic, this one and this one. The increased sweating is not caused by the parasympathetic. Which of the part of brain is responsible for thermoregulation? The hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is responsible for maintaining our body temperature. We have a fixed body temperature 37 degrees Celsius now. Why? Because of the hypothalamus. The removal of parathyroid gland can result in the tetany, because parathyroid gland responsible for increasing calcium level in the blood. Okay. If calcium is not present in the blood, there is an irregular movement in the muscle contraction and the relaxation, which lead to the tetany. Next is prolactin is lactotroph, FSH is gonadotroph. These are the cells which makes these hormones, and prolactin is a hormone which is responsible for the milk synthesis, and FSH, you know that it is responsible for the growth of follicles and all. Okay, so both the statement first and second are your correct. Next is, if oversecretion of growth hormones occurs after puberty, then the individual suffers from the acromegaly. If this oversecretion happens during the time of childhood, then the person will suffer from the gigantism. But it is happen after the puberty, then any of the part of organ will going to be grow. Okay, and it could be fatal too. The next is the development of embryos from the zygote is known as the embryogenesis. And the embryogenesis involves the cell division and the cell differentiation. See, both assertion and reasons are your true, but they are not specifically talking about the embryogenesis. So reason is not the correct explanation of your assertion. Next is, in humans, at the end of first meiotic division, which happens in the primary spermato, you have a spermatogonia. Spermatogonia further goes into the first meiotic division, yes or no? Then it comes into the primary spermatocytes. Primary spermatocyte meiosis 1 happen. Then there will be a formation of your secondary spermatocyte. The middle piece of sperm contains what? It contains the mitochondria, which is responsible for providing the energy. Okay. Hormone releasing IUDs is known as this LNG20 and the progesterone both contains the hormone. D is your right answers. MTP are relatively safe up to 12 weeks of pregnancy. MTP is what? The medical termination of pregnancy. The life originated where? It is originated in water. Yes or no? Evolution chapter. The next we have, all of the following theories were given from the origin of life except your Big Bang theory. theory of panspermia, theory of spontaneous generation, theory of chemical evolution. The Big Bang theory explained the origin of universe. It was not explain the origin of life. Okay, the rest three explain the origin of life. The CAT disease, the coronary artery disease, often referred to as it is a arteriosclerosis. Arteriosclerosis means plaque is formed in the coronary artery. Okay. Common cold is caused by a virus, and the name of virus is rhinovirus. I mean, the common cold, symptoms happen which is the rhinitis. Rhinitis means inflammation in the nasal passage. The next is the antibodies produced against the allergens are IgE type, and Edward Jenner is regarded father of immunology. Both assertion and reasons are true, but they are not talking about the IgE function and how it works. Okay, so the reason is not satisfactory with your assertion. Autoimmunity is caused due to the, what is autoimmunity? When your own body makes the antibodies against the self cells only. Okay, normally your body forms antibodies against the foreign cells, but in autoimmunity case, your body forms antibodies against their own cells only. Okay. Next is ability of immune cells to discriminate between cells from the non-cell cells. No. Now, inabilities of immune cell in damaging cell representing foreign antigens. No. Inability of immune cell in distinguishing cell from the non-cell cells. Yes. Ability of immune cells to damage the self cells. Yes, this is happen in the autoimmunity. C and D is your correct answer. Next is which type of cell junctions performs the cementing to keep neighboring cells together? This is your adhering junction. Diuresis is reduced by the, diuresis means the formation of dilute urine. Okay, and this diuresis is reduced by the hormone of vasopressin. The next is the blood calcium level is a resultant of how much dietary calcium is absorbed, how much calcium is lost in urine, how much bone dissolve releasing calcium into the blood, and how much calcium from the blood enters tissue. A number of factors play an important role in this process. Mark the one which has no role. Okay, you have to mark the statement which have no role. So see, vitamin D, it play an important role because it absorbs the calcium in body. Parathyroid hormone, thyrocalcitone, it is also responsible for the mineralization and the demineralization of bone. Thymosin is not responsible for all of this process because thymosin function is to mature and differentiation the T cells and the B cells. Origin of heartbeat and its conduction is represented by the SA node to AV node to bundle of S which is present in the interventricular septum, then it is transferred into the Purkinje fibers which is responsible for the contraction of ventricles. Okay. Next we have 195 question which is incorrect regarding the vasectomy. Okay, so the first is no sperm occur in the epididymis. Okay, vasa differentia is cut and tight. This just happen in the vasectomy. The vasectomy means the cut in the vas difference. Okay, so vasa differentia is cut and then tied or the ligated, and it is the irreversible sterility happens. No sperm occurs in the seminal fluid. Discharge will be continued, but the seminal fluid will be come out in semen, but there is no sperm. Okay. Next is 196. Which species of Plasmodium cause malignant malaria? The Plasmodium falciparum cause the malignant malaria. The Bright disease or the glomerulonephritis. See, glomerulonephritis means nephritis word we are using for the inflammation. This disease is inflammation of glomeruli. Next is the crystalline protein is synthesized by the Bacillus thuringiensis is activated by the alkaline pH of insect gut which converted into the endotoxin. Next is method of producing microbes and pest resistant plant includes what? It includes the RNAi technique and the use of your Bt toxin. RNAi technique we are using in the tobacco plant now. The production of pest resistant plant could decrease the amount of pesticides used. Okay. Okay, thank you so much. That's it for the today. Now, okay, thank you. Bye.